Over the weekend, far-right ex-Congressman Allen West revealed some troubling information. It appears that he has COVID-19. Oh no. Well, that's not good. In fact, it has gotten so bad that he had to be hospitalized on Saturday. So now, according to the Daily Beast, the former congressman wrote that he and his wife, Angela, had went to the hospital on Saturday at an emergency room in Dallas and had to receive monoclonal antibody treatments. Wow. So now the big surprise here, or I should say not surprise, is that Allen West is not vaccinated. Shocker. So now monoclonal antibody treatments, by the way, are reserved for fairly serious cases of COVID-19. For example, when Donald Trump received them at Walter Reed Medical Center. So they're also, by the way, an experimental treatment. Now, here's the thing. So vaccines tend to prevent those serious cases leading to hospitalization. And so it makes you wonder if his trip, him going to the hospital, maybe made him think, oh, you know what? I should get a vaccine. We should get vaccines. No. I mean, he followed up the previous day's news with an off-the-rails Twitter rant against, big surprise, vaccines. So now, first, he said that the treatment that he had received led to immediate results. Oh, I feel so much better, right? Well, I mean, what kind of results? Is he okay? Well, he's still in the hospital with COVID-related pneumonia and low blood oxygen levels, and so no, not okay. His wife, however, different story. Turns out his wife, Angela, the smarter half, got a vaccine, had been vaccinated, and so immediately went home. She's fine. Now, you think that might have made him think, hey, wait a minute, maybe I should have been as smart as my wife. But again, no, not the case. Here's what he tweeted, quote, I can attest that after this experience, I am even more dedicated to fighting against vaccine mandates. Instead of enriching the pockets of big pharma and corrupt bureaucrats and politicians, we should be advocating the monoclonal antibody infusion therapy. So now, let's break that down. Okay, let's break this down. So he says he's against the vaccine mandates and against vaccines and is for monoclonal antibody treatments because he doesn't want to fill the pockets of big pharma and bureaucrats. Well, that's interesting. So now let's break down the costs here. So now the average cost for a hospital stay for COVID-19 is around $20,000. And again, it's really hard to pin down an average because there's a lot of different factors at play, but basically it's pretty much accepted that it's going to cost you around, for I should say the best case scenario, around $17,000. So now the government currently covers that amount. So if you do get sick and you have to do the monoclonal antibodies, well, that's okay. The government's going to cover it, thanks to some government programs. All right. Now, there's that. That's 17 to 20,000, and again, more depending on your condition, right? So now that's taxpayer money that goes to paying the hospitals. Okay. So now you also have Regeneron. That is the Regeneron's 2-drug cocktail. So that costs about $1,250 per infusion, according to Kaiser Health News. So once again, in this case, the federal government covers this. Again, taxpayer money is going into the pockets of Regeneron, a company, and GlaxoSmithKline. Compare that to the cost of a vaccine. How much did the vaccine cost? Okay, think about it this way. How much would the vaccine cost if you were paying it out of pocket? The average cost would be about $20. Now, again, the federal government covers that And so for every American, and so the cost to us is nothing. Oh, okay. So you've got, and let me just go through the math here for a little bit, okay? So now I'm not good at Republican math, but I would think that $20 is less than $2,500 roughly, or plus the less than $20,000 for a hospital stay, which again could change based on factors like age, location, length of stay, severity of illness, comorbidities. If you end up on a ventilator, God forbid, that could actually end up costing millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, again, Republican math here doesn't seem to work out. $20 versus just an enormous amount of money at treating something that could have been prevented. Alan West is apparently making sure that we put more money in the pockets of big pharma, not less. Because again, you can avoid all of that extra cost by getting vaccinated. If you don't get sick enough to be in the hospital, you're not going to have to spend that money, or the taxpayer's not going to have to spend that money on your behalf. And so that's the issue. So now you may think, how dumb is this man? I think the better question actually is, how dumb does he think we are? And that's the thing. So in fact, here's more BS from Alan West in his Twitter. He says, instead of jabbing Americans and not illegal immigrants, what does that have to do with anything? With a dangerous shot which injects them with these spike proteins, guess what? I now have natural immunity and double the antibodies. That's science. Oh yes, double the antibodies, double the fun. Oh, that's it. Well, apparently science. Oh, it's science. Now, ironically, when he tweeted this out, he eventually ended up having to restrict his tweets, or I should say restrict people from replying to these tweets, which is kind of sad when you think about it, because he kept getting responses like this. Speaking of someone who had COVID before we knew it was here in the US, the damage it does to your body is devastating. Just take the vaccine and avoid getting COVID. The vaccine is cheap. Big Pharma makes tons of money on monoclonal antibodies, and it charges $2,000. Vaccines free. Another person says, those antibodies only last for 3 or 4 months. Slap nuts. Love that. Science says the best route is to get vaxxed, no matter if you've had COVID or not. Just say you were able to afford treatments to most, which cannot, which is why you were able to take a $2,000 experimental drug. Another person says, and all it cost you was $100,000 and nearly dying. Much better than 2 free jabs. And another one, you were kept alive through an intensive and expensive medical intervention by a team of trained professionals when you could have just gotten a less severe case, if at all, that did not deprive Texans of needed medical resources. So that makes sense. So now one more thing, and this happened unsurprisingly after Alan West went to a gigantic maskless gathering on October 7th at the Generation Annual Gala and Fundraiser. It was packed full of maskless people, very, maskless and probably very likely to be unvaxxed. Oh, a lot of people are probably getting a lot of calls saying, hey, you might want to get yourself COVID tested. Just saying. On Friday, he said he developed a low-grade fever and started taking ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. However, by Saturday, pretty clear that that had no effect whatsoever. Now, as I said, his wife had been vaccinated and only developed light symptoms and went home. Weird. It's almost as if this is a perfect example of what happens when you get the vaccine versus what happens when you don't. I mean, again, one very, very last point. And take this, again, this is not peer-reviewed, but there is a study out there that suggests that coronavirus can shrink your brain. literally. And not only that, but reduce gray matter thickness and damage tissue in areas associated with the sense of smell and cause more than 60 other long-term changes. Now, again, this is all, pending peer review, but if this turns out to be true, Republicans are literally shrinking their brains by getting COVID, not protecting themselves. And again, this, even if doesn't turn out to be the case, or, it's only like one in however many people, there's still good reasons, lots and lots of good reasons to get vaccinated and to not end up like Alan West. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.